Welcome to the Black Doctor Collective podcast. We as Black doctors are in a unique position. We can change our communities, healthcare, and the world. Of course, we start by changing the way we see and value ourselves. I'm your host, Dr. Shanika Horn, pediatrician and physician coach, travel extraordinaire. I am so happy to have you here and listening. So let's get into it. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Black Doctor Collective podcast. I'm recording this on a Sunday and it's rainy outside. I'm in my house. I got up this morning feeling like it is time to reprioritize myself because I've been stressed, y'all. If you listened to last week's episode, I was literally having like a heart palpitation in the middle of the episode. Like, what? That has never happened in my life. So I started meditating this week, and this morning I got up bright and early. First thing, ignored all the ridiculous texts that I had, because I had some ridiculous ones. And I did some yoga, then I took a shower, and it was one of those days, where you go from one pajama to a new pajama. So I switched right out of my nighttime pajamas into my daytime pajamas. And that is what life is about. So I am trying to shift how I do things. I think everything is just this constant adjustment. You see something, you go for a goal, you evaluate, are you still on track? Have you slipped into your old ways? How do I course correct? And so that's what I'm doing this week because, I am the queen of self-care and self-preservation, but some old habits die hard. And I have times, I think I've been doing too much in my new medical director role, and I think it is starting to affect my stress levels. And we can't have that because that's not, nope. Did that in residency, did it in medical school, did it in fellowship. I ain't doing it again. So every time these things pop up, I have to step back. I have to course correct and move forward with grace, giving myself a certain amount of grace. So yesterday, I had a day. First of all, I was real social this weekend. I'm not that social. I am like queen of staying in her house all weekend, okay? Friday, I went out to dinner with a friend from college, but Saturday's the day I want to talk to y'all about. I went to, I don't know if you guys know Bozoma St. John. She is a Ghanaian American, born in Ghana, grew up in America from like the age of 12-ish. And went on to become this like major tech mogul. She's currently on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So if you see her there, you know her. But she was also like in the C-suite at Netflix, at Uber, at Pepsi, at like major brands, major household names, and really just constantly breaking the ceiling in, 6-inch heels and a fabulous weave, bundles for days. Anyway, super popular, wrote a book, talked about her life, like just very inspirational because she always talks about being unapologetic. And she has coined herself, her name is Bozoma, but she goes by Boz for short. So she has coined herself Badass Boz. So she hosted some workshops. There was about 5 in different cities, and one of them happened to be in New York. I know I complain about living in New York, y'all, but for accessibility, sometimes it is just hard to beat. Like, I always love city living over rural living for this exact opportunity to attend things that I don't get exposed to otherwise. And having grown up that way, with the world at my fingertips, any type of cuisine, any type of experience, it's really hard to shift. I have lived rurally, y'all. I have lived super rural in this country, outside of this country. It's not for me. It's just not. I'm a city girl, okay? And not like city girl, not the ghetto ones. I am a city dweller for life. Maybe at some point I'll decide I need a more quiet existence, but I think I will always need city access. And just for moments like this, I went to this workshop and it was called the Badass Workshop. And she talked about, she's been giving different speeches depending on the city that you attended in. But for this workshop in New York, she talked about how this is our season and it is time to bloom in that season. And I think it's such a perfect topic. It's springtime, the earth is reawakening, it is a blooming season. Although there's a lot of craziness going on, you can still decide it's your season and that you are ready to bloom. So I'm going to share a little bit about what I learned in that workshop because we're going to talk about checking off goals. It's a nice culmination to this month's list of episodes. So we talked about, at the beginning of the month, we started the month off with talking about self-doubt and who am I to ask for more and how that keeps us small, right? And how we really need to start being the people who takes up space and who cheers ourselves on. Because if we don't, who's going to? We talked about the following week, we talked about fear and how that can sometimes keep us from starting, right? We'll talk ourselves out of doing something because we are afraid. And we need to learn the lesson of like, we don't need to eliminate fear to move forward. And then last week we talked about failure, which I think really goes hand in hand with fear and how it's not a reason to, like, being afraid of failure is not a reason not to pursue something. And in fact, if you're in a pursuit and you have a hurdle, you have a bump, you have a failure, quote unquote, it's only a true failure if you stop, if you let it stop you, if you let it prevent you from achieving whatever goal it was that you were on your path to before you hit the bump. So because of all of those things just really tied into the lessons I learned at this talk yesterday. She talked about how we have this like covenant of destiny, right? Where there are certain things that we are destined to do, that we're meant to do. And I know we often talk about like what is for you doesn't pass you by, but she brought up a concept that actually really resonated that challenges that notion. Like what is for you is always meant for you, but only if you pursue it, only if you don't ignore it, because destinies change. Every time you make a decision about your future, you're creating a different pathway. All of these micro decisions add up to big decisions. Destiny changes. Destiny can pass you by if you never pursue, never do the thing that was put upon your heart to do. And that scared me because I'm like, oh, snap. In what ways, because, immediately my brain is like, let's review. In what ways have I maybe missed out on my destiny? And she gave the example of, when you come up with an invention or an idea and then you don't do it because you're like, oh, that would be such a cute thing to do or such a cute thing to have. That would be so nice. And then, I don't know, sometime in the future later, you see that invention. Can I tell you how I had mentally invented those Dr. Scholl's of flats that fold that you can put in your purse? Because I was partying like it was 1999 in the early 2000s and going to the club in college from Thursday through Saturday. And I used to put on all kinds of heels. First of all, if y'all know me, you know I'm not a heel girly. I love a flat shoe. I like comfort. How am I supposed to dance all night in some uncomfortable shoes? They look cute when you walk into the club, but then an hour in, you walking like you're pigeon-toed, and you certainly aren't walking out of the club looking cute. Toes all curled over in the front of your shoe, just smushed. I had decided, oh my God, it would be so nice if I could have a flat shoe that I could just put in my purse because girls was walking out the club barefoot, okay? Well, you would be so tempted to walk around barefoot just because your feet were hurting that bad. In the nasty city streets of DC, I used to see girls walking barefoot. I seen it in New York. It's painful when you have an uncomfortable shoe on. So I thought, oh, you know what? I should invent this shoe that you could just put in your purse. And then when you're ready to leave the club, you slip on your flats and you carry your little heels home or whatever. Didn't do it. A few years later, Dr. Scholl's had them things in every CVS, Walgreens, everywhere. I was tight. I could have been a bajillionaire right now. But, I didn't pursue it because I thought it was going to be too hard. So let me stop. That's being very judgy of myself. I did not know how to do the things and I did not know how to pursue my dreams in the way that I do now. So those are the kinds of things where like these things will pass you by. If you have an idea and you're not the one to do it, that destiny moves on to someone else. And someone else becomes the person that invents the thing that you came up with. So that shook me up a little bit because I just thought about how many times I've come up with things, come up with solutions, and I just decided not to do it. I'm so glad that I pursued this particular decision of becoming a coach and teaching doctors how to negotiate and really tackling what I feel like is my angle to solving burnout. There's lots of people out here trying to tackle the things. There's people who I started with on this coaching journey who are no longer coaches. There are people who have talked about wanting to do the things, but they don't do the things. And so I'm glad at least I can look at my life and feel like, okay, yeah, I at least pursued something that didn't have a clear pathway, felt like it was going to be really hard, but I did it. So it's just like medicine. It's like once you did it, right? You graduated, you pursued medicine until you completed it, until you became an MD, until you became an attending, until you practiced or decided not to practice, whatever. But you pursued until. And I love that for you. And I love that for me. Okay, getting back on track. That was a mean sidetrack. But she really talked about the fact that taking ownership of a season and blooming is not a passive thing. So you cannot just sit and say, what is for me will not pass me by while sitting and not doing anything and watching that thing pass you by. So I really wanted to focus on goal setting in this episode for that reason. The thing about goals is they don't check themselves off. You got to do some work. So if you've been with me this month and you have been working through the self-doubt and you've been working through your general fears and you've been working through your failures, this now is the next step. This is the moment where you push forward and you build upon the work that you have been doing all month. So let's talk about a couple things that you need to do to finally check off that goal. Because I know you're ready. I know because I'm you and you're me and we have a lot of similarities. Oh, that rhymes. I should be a little poet. You are me and I am you. Okay, y'all did not come here for my singing. Step one, I would think, is you need to decide that you're done playing small. Oh, she gave such a good quip about living unapologetically. Like we love to say we are unapologetic about everything. So she was saying that everybody loves it. It's a catchphrase. And Boss highlighted something that was so important, which is that we might be saying that we're living unapologetically, but meanwhile, we're apologizing for a whole bunch of stuff. We're playing small in so many areas of our life. We're people pleasing and we're telling ourselves no, and we're not even asking for what we want. Those are not ways to live unapologetically. So if you're one of these people, and I am too, that loves the concept of living unapologetically and feels like we're trying to do that, you also have to examine all the ways in which that's not true and then solve for that. So I talk a lot about asking for what you want. This is how you live unapologetically. She even talked about negotiation. I was like, girl, you in my bag right now. I love talking about negotiation. And she told me something that I don't even normally do. I usually shy away from the question of, like, when an employer asks you first, how much do you want to make? I usually like to still figure out what they're trying to offer because that does feel safe. That feels safe to me. I'm sure it feels safe to y'all. If you know what the range is, then you could play within the range. You could ask for the top end of the range. You're getting the max. Like that would be the most ideal. She said, don't be afraid of the number. Put your number out there. Do not be afraid and aim high, not your reasonable number, not the number you've convinced yourself sounds good. Put out your number. Put out what you really want to make. Do not be scared. Ooh, that's going to take a lot of courage, let me tell you. But this is what we're doing in this season. We moving forward. I definitely feel proud of myself because in my job negotiation as the medical director, I put out my number. In fact, I had a number in mind that I thought was good, but definitely more in the reasonable range. And then I added some. I was like, you know what? Let me just go ahead on and go to the top end of this range. And they gave it to me. And now I'm wondering if I should have asked for more, but I'm still proud of myself for saying my number and letting it be. It was beautiful, y'all. It was a scary moment. I had probably palpitations about that too, but I'm so proud. And this is where confidence comes from. Was I confident in the moment? Not particularly. I was nervous. But I also felt like this was the right thing to do. And I would regret it if I didn't ask for this thing, this number. And so now I'm confident that I'm just going to be asking for my number and see what's going to happen, right? Because you might get the thing that you asked for. Just so nice. So that is being done, playing small. That is examining whether you're actually living unapologetically or not, examining all the ways that you might not be unapologetic. And also, one really good notion she talked about was you have to do this in all areas, not just at work, also at home, with your family, with your friends, with people who love you and who you really do want to please. You still have to put yourself first. I know. We say this a lot, but it's harder than it sounds, but worth it. Okay. The next step for goal completion is to commit to the actual completion of the goal, right? It's not about perfection. It's about it being done. Okay. Stop waiting until your plan is flawless. Stop waiting until the right time. You got to actually commit to the completion and say no to everything that isn't that. Let your no's be your no. Let your yes be your yes. This is another way that we let our destinies pass us by. And it's based on the fact that we are saying no to things that scare us. And we're saying yes to things that feel safe, but are really not in our intuition. Yeah, we're not doing that. We need to commit to completion and only commit to that thing. We need to choose the priority. Priority, remember, is singular. You cannot have more than one priority. Everything after the first priority is not the priority. We might have a priority list where there's a top 5 things that are more important than everything else, but there's only one number 1 spot. So make your priority and say no to everything that is not that. The next step, tip 3, is learn to listen to your own intuition more than the outside noise. One distinction she made that I was like, oof, that'll preach, was that a lot of times the outside noise isn't society, isn't an employer, isn't the news. It's the people you love. It's your mama. It's your husband, your wife, your partner. The people who love you are also scared and sometimes operating from places of fear. And they will tell you, no, that sounds crazy. Don't do that. Even when you feel intuitively it is the right thing to do. Do you think anybody was like, yes, start your own business, become a coach when you have a medical degree? No, people did not understand it. I also did not share that portion of it because I knew they would not understand it and it was not their divine purpose to understand, right? Like, why would I tune into you when your mission is not the same as my mission? I didn't tell a lot of people. I just did the thing. And when I presented it, I was like, this is what I'm doing and this is why. And I feel strongly about it. And so everybody that loved me got on board and supported that. So yeah, like listening to your own intuition, you already know what's right for you. This is why you're having so much cognitive dissonance. You know in your heart of hearts what you actually want to do. And sometimes that pathway feels scary, feels painful, feels maybe like you'll disappoint the people around you. Maybe you'll cut ties with someone and it's going to hurt them, but you're hurting you instead. You're delaying your destiny, your vision instead. You're playing small. You're people pleasing. Like, we have to learn how to listen to our own intuition. Now, listen, this is something that is very hard for me because I am still a recovering people pleaser. I have gotten very good at not people pleasing strangers. That was my first. Then not people pleasing acquaintances, people that really don't impact my day-to-day life. But the people in my inner circle, oh, that one's real hard. That is a very, very hard for me. I say yes to things I don't really want to say yes to all the time for people that I really, really love and care about. I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. I'm better with some people than other people, but there are people that I deeply want to control how they see me and how they love me, right? Like, I want you to like and love me. I want you to appreciate me. I want us to have a good relationship. So I'm much more willing to do things to let my yes not be my yes and my no not be my no for those relationships. And that is something, that's a me problem. That's not a them problem. That's a me problem. This is why I have a therapist, y'all. Okay, we a work in progress. We working on it. Same vein is saying no to anything that pulls you off of your path. If it drains you, if it distracts you, if it makes you doubt yourself, it's a no. Your goals deserve undivided energy, undivided commitment, priority. Remember it, only one priority. And then once you start achieving these goals, you need to own your success without downplaying it. This is why we don't know our value when it comes time to negotiate. We are great at brushing off accomplishments. If you're the kind of person who someone gives you a compliment and instead of just saying thank you, you're like, oh no, and you do this fake humility, humbum jumbum, mumbo jumbo, whatever the word is, this is you. Stop it. First of all, it's rude not to accept a compliment because, like, what are you saying to the other person? That their opinion is not valid, that they don't get to see things that you may not see, that you don't appreciate the time it took for them to tell you the nice thing? Just say thank you. Okay? Also, stop it. It's fake humility. It's fake humility. Just stop it. It just sounds terrible. This old thing. Oh, I only paid $2 for it. You know, I got it at the flea market. Stop. Just stop. It's not a good look. I had to learn that lesson. I was definitely one of those people who did that. And then I realized how like ungrateful that is, that people are really trying to praise you and lift you up and you refuse because of how you feel about yourself, how I felt about myself. I refuse to let them lift me. That's wild. Stop. Okay, so what happens now? You decided you're going to work through the self-doubt, the fear, the failure. You're doing the things. You decided I'm going to take my step forward. I'm going to claim this destiny. I'm not going to let it pass me by. When you step into this season and you've decided, you have committed, you will move differently, honey. The energy is different. There will be less hesitation, more certainty. Especially if you're listening to your intuition and you really are tapping into it and it's not just what the grain is doing. You're going to actually go against the grain for some of it. It's a whole different vibe. You stop seeking external validation and you learn how to give yourself internal validation because you know you deserve the win and you know that you worked hard to get it. Or you didn't work hard, but you got it because you decided and you envisioned and you pursued. And you accomplished. And then that makes it so much easier to constantly embrace what's next because now you know how to figure things out. You know that you're going to make decisions that are good for you. You know that if the decision comes and you make it and it doesn't look like what you thought it was going to look like, you're going to make another decision that is still good for you. You will not talk yourself into staying somewhere longer than you should, being in relationships longer than you should, staying at jobs that are toxic, or just not checking your boxes. They don't even have to be a toxic workplace. It could literally just be something that is not ticking your boxes because you deserve. You spend most of your life at work. Why don't you deserve to be in a place that fills you, that checks something for you, that offers you something in return? These are the things. You embrace what's next because success breeds more success. So, understanding that this is the pathway to success, being successful requires me to be more of who I am, not who I think other people want me to be, not who I am when I'm pleasing others. It requires me to be plain old, regular, degular me in all of my facets. If that's too much, It's me. That's what's required here. So I want you to spend a little time thinking about what's a goal you want to check off. I want you to name it, to claim it, and when it's done, I need you to celebrate it. Okay? You need to say it with your chest, this goal. No downplaying, no thinking it's too big, it sounds crazy, it's overly ambitious. The Wright brothers put a plane in the sky when nothing like that had been done before. Where do you think those things come from? They claimed it. They decided. They built upon probably some existing technology in the world, but they claimed it. They might not have been the first ones. You know, white people stay rewriting history, so I don't really know. But the first person to build a plane named it and claimed it. Okay? And then celebrate it. When you have, I need you to write it down. Be in the moment of the win. So I really want you to document it because our brain has a tendency to forget things and we're constantly moving the goalposts so we don't actually celebrate when we've won. But I want you to tell somebody. I want you to post about it. I want you to buy yourself something nice. There needs to be some moment of celebration. I need you to own it. Okay? So what I would love to do, if this episode made you feel motivated and in a work environment, you want something different. You want to change. You're ready to pursue. You're ready to ask the big asks. You're done playing small. You're going to claim it. You're going to do it. And then you're going to join this program so that we can get it done. And then we're going to celebrate it because we are nothing if not celebrators over here. Okay? This is your season. The only thing left for you to do this season is to bloom. Bye, y'all.
Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to the podcast. And what I want you to do next is link us everywhere you can. Instagram at The Black Doctor. Just become part of our collective. I want you here. Thanks. Until next time. Bye.